Hi friends, it's been a while. Welcome to another episode of Ladies Talking Business. Today's episode is tailored for individuals who intend moving up the career ladder. To speak on this very essential topic is Chika Uwazie, a human resource expert. Chika holds a master's degree in strategic human capital management from Georgetown University. I'm sure she would not mind me calling her the career queen. Stay tuned, guys. Hi Chika, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I've been waiting for you to come join me at some point. Thank you so much for taking out time. Yeah, so I know that you were accepted in virtually all, the companies that you applied to right out of college. It's not something that is very common, in our world of today. Was it because you had some kind of intellectual fecundity, or what exactly was it? What was the spark?
I would say I'm a researcher. That's always been my core, is researching everything I do. And so when I find a company, what I've realized is that it's not about simply just the resume, it's about how you present yourself. So I actually recently shared on my Instagram how I got my first job. I researched where I wanted to work, the Rosa Whitaker Group. She's an amazing woman. She's done work with Bill Clinton, and she's doing a lot of work on Africa. And I was like, oh, I have to work at this type of company. And I did research on her, and I found out she's in the same women's club as I am. We're both in the same sorority. And so I found a coffee tea mug that's very, it has like specific roses that's specific to our women's club. I put the resume in there and I shipped it off to her.
Like that?
Yes.
In the mug?
Yes, in the mug. And then, of course, a week later, her team reached out to me and was like, who is this girl who sent me this resume in a coffee mug? And I got the interview, and I actually got to interview with her personally. And then after a week, she called me back saying that she's offered me a position. So I really went out of my way to get my first job. And so it's always been like that, not as extreme, but I've always taken the time to research the company, who's the CEO, who's the key stakeholders, and just finding a way to connect with them and present myself in front of them.
All right, so what exactly would you say global companies like that look out for when recruiting?
Yeah, so I would say a couple of things. I think a couple of years ago, people really cared about where you went to school, and I think that somewhat plays into it. But to be honest, it's about skill set, and we get a lot of resumes because I've been a recruiter for 10 years, so we get hundreds of resumes, and we only have 10 seconds on each resume. And so
10 seconds?
10 seconds normally, yeah. You normally just quickly glance and say, okay, do they have everything? And number one, if you don't have the keywords, if you don't have specific keywords they're looking for, let's say we're looking for a developer, if you don't see full stack, PHP, .NET, these are very specific coding language to the job. A lot of people glance over that, and then they spend too much time talking about, I did this task, I did this task. They don't get really into the result. Because at the end of the day, a company is looking at, okay, I hired this person, how are they going to help my company grow? And so if you're not really showcasing that on your resume, then you're just going to be in the pile with everyone else. So it's really just about taking time to show, you should hire me because I'm the best person for the job. And it's really looking or taking a step further than most applicants.
So it's basically not just about, trying to reduce the unemployment rate, but you also need to be a value-adding person in the company.
Yes.
Oh, true. And then I know that you also, review resumes. What is that one mistake or a lot of mistakes you think a lot of job seekers, have every time?
I see lots of mistakes. Let me just say the top three I see. Okay. Number one, resumes are way too long. I get resumes all the time that are like 3, 5, 6 pages of, they're not talking about anything. They're just talking. And I'm like, what is this? What are you?
There's no punchline.
There's no punchline, yeah. And the truth is, I said this before, if you are not a PhD candidate or have received a PhD, your resume should never be longer than 2 pages. So that's mistake number one, too long. 2, typos. I mean, I will see different tenses on your resume. I would see dots, commas, different font sizes. I mean, I've seen it all. So just...
Is there like an ideal font size or an ideal, text?
I would say 10.5, 11 points is pretty good. 12 is the largest you want to go. And I would say like the basics, so Times New Roman, Calibri, Dahoma, those are very basic fonts that don't look too crazy. And then I would say the last mistake is lack of customization. And so we were talking about this earlier where people just send a resume that has nothing to do with the job description. It's like, I just want that job. That's
what kind of job do you want? Anything. I'm fine with anything. I don't have a job right now.
Just give me the job. And all the time, sometimes I follow up with the candidate. I'm like, do you actually have the skill for this job? And they're like, no, but I just think I can do it. No, I don't want to hire someone that says they can do it. I want to know you can do it. Yeah, so that's the top 3 mistakes I see.
All right, so sometimes some people say, well, I got the job now. I'm only going to do what was in my, what's it called now? You're given like your job description, and then you're saying you're not going to move either above or beneath your job description. What's your take on that?
I think you're going to be stagnant. So you may not be doing anything that will get you fired, but at the same time, if you're looking for promotion, I think everybody every year should be looking for an increase in salary. So if you now come to the boss and say, oh, I want an increase in salary, they're going to be like, what did you do? Like, what did you do to wow me or to go above and beyond? A lot of millennials, I think, are moving faster into managerial roles. But if you don't position yourself to do that, then no, you're never going to be promoted, or it's going to be hard for you to switch out to a different company.
So what are those things you would say you would encourage that people do in order to, position themselves for things like that?
I would just say being proactive. I think a lot of people are waiting for their manager to tell them what to do or how to do it. And I think it's about listening to what your manager is saying or needs, being in tune with the company's goals. So for example, the company's like, we want to grow 10%. Figure out how you are part of that. Even if you're in HR, maybe you're not directly bringing in revenue, figure out, is it hiring better people? Is it training the current staff? There's so many ways that you can add value to the bottom line. So it's about aligning with your manager's needs and then aligning with the overall company needs.
So what are those soft skills you would say that a lot of people lack and it affects their productivity in the workplace?
What would I say? I think, I don't know how else to explain it. I think a lot of people lack just basic human interactions. So for example, asking your manager how they're doing, how they're feeling, what's keeping them up at night. Because when one of my employees asks me those things, I'm like, wow, this person's thinking about me, they care.
It goes beyond their paycheck,
It's beyond just paycheck. So just add a human touch to your everyday job. I think that's important than, just the basic, I can do this, I can do that skill. Because to be honest, I know a lot of managers that are like, I don't really like that person. And they say it out loud sometimes when I'm speaking to employers. So I think just having human interaction, asking how someone's doing. If you notice they're feeling off, maybe, you don't have to probe too much, but just like, oh, I noticed you looking different.
Thing.
Yeah, just seem like you care. I think it's very simple.
Because some people feel like, well, I'm not paid for that. If I'm not being paid for it, then there's no need asking, right? Okay, so basically, I'm new in my job role, and then I want to move from point A to point B. How would I do that?
So one thing I always do when I get into a new role is I sit down with whoever I'm working with, and I ask them, what is your idea of success? What does success look like for you in this role? And a lot of times, sometimes managers don't even know what that is. So it gives them a chance to really think about it. And they basically are giving you gold on a platter. They're telling you exactly, these are the things I think look successful. And then it sets yourself up. You can take time to research it on your own. Maybe there's a skill set they're expecting you to do you don't really know. I tell people, Google is your friend, YouTube's your friend. It will teach you all those things. And I also say, take courses. So for example, I never been, originally a social media person. I didn't formally trained in it, but I've done a lot of YouTube or watched a lot of YouTube videos to learn about how to create content, how to use tools like Canva, and so now I have that skill set, right? So I think when you talk to your manager and ask them what does success look like for you, then they can give you that feedback, and then you can now take it and now create your own way of being successful in that role.
All right, thank you, Chika. I hope you've been taking notes, as this has been a very informative conversation. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation. You are still watching Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. All right, Chika. I've trained as an engineer for, say, 5 years in school. I've worked as an engineer for 5 or 10 years, and now I'm tired, I'm bored, I want to switch. What would you advise I do? How would I make that switch?
Okay, so that's quite common. That's probably the second most requested question I get in my Instagram DMs.
Really?